All right, gamers. Welcome back for another dip dive. This time, we're tackling Ubisoft.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, they've been in the news a lot lately. Some good, some bad, but mostly bad.
Certainly had their ups and downs, haven't they?
Yeah, and look, we're not here to pile on, but we did get this really passionate, really passionate plea from a fan about how to save Ubisoft and
Oh, wow.
a rescue mission.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not just like make a better game. This is like in-depth business stuff, game design. Like,
Wow, so they did their homework.
oh, yeah, this is someone who clearly cares a lot about this company and wants to see them, back on top.
I like that energy already.
Yeah, so we had to dive into this, so buckle up.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it. So first up, this fan goes straight for the throat. They say story, 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 like that's the heart of it all. And they point to games like Witcher 3, Elden Ring, those massive open worlds with incredible narratives. And they basically ask, like, Ubisoft, what happened? Where'd that go?
It's true. Those games, they really nailed the whole world-building aspect. It's like they figured out how to create worlds you don't just play, you get lost in them. You really connect with those characters. You feel for them. And it's not just the characters. The stories themselves are just phenomenal, full of twists and turns, but it never feels forced. And the way your choices actually impact the story, that's huge.
That's what's been missing, you
Ah.
think, from some recent Ubisoft titles.
Maybe. It's hard to say for sure, but there's been a few titles recently that just haven't resonated the same way. It's like they're playing it safe, sticking to a formula.
Yeah, like they're afraid to take risks or something. And this fan, they're not afraid to call that out. They get to this whole thing about characters. And, how do I put this? They're very passionate about characters being, well, let's just say they use the words beautiful and sexy.
Causes. Right, well.
Can't fault them for having a type.
Sure, but can a game really coast on looks alone? Is that enough?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, visuals are important. A striking design can absolutely make a character more memorable, but it's got to be more than just skin depth, right? It's about capturing that certain something, that spark that makes you want to learn more about them, to spend time with them, maybe even dress up like them. You think about all the amazing cosplay out there, and it's often those characters with depth, with personality, like Geralt from The Witcher. That's what sticks with people. All right, so get ready, because this next part is where things get a little heated. The fan goes on a full-blown rant about live service games, the always on, always updating, battle passes, daily challenges, all that jazz. They are not a fan.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a hot button issue for a lot of gamers.
They actually call it soul-crushing. They say it takes away from the joy of discovery, makes you feel like you're on a treadmill instead of going on an adventure.
And, there's a certain validity to that. Games are supposed to be fun and escape. But when you're constantly bombarded with notifications, with limited time events, it can feel overwhelming. Like a second job almost. You're not exploring at your own pace. You're chasing rewards, trying to keep up with everyone else. It's that fear of missing out.
Yeah. And this ties into their next big point. They say Ubisoft needs to ditch the bloat. Get rid of those repetitive open world activities, like capturing the same outpost for the 100th time. Nobody's asking for that. They actually suggest that shorter, more focused games could be the way to go, like 10 to 20 hours of really tight, well-crafted gameplay.
And there's something to be said for a shorter, more focused experience. You look at games like Gone Home or Firewatch. Those games tell these incredible, impactful stories in a fraction of the time. Sometimes less is more,
Yeah.
and it allows developers to really polish that experience, to create something truly special.
It's interesting, right? Because the industry trend seems to be going the opposite direction. Longer, bigger, more expansive. And here's this fan saying, no, stop. Do less, but do it better.
I respect that.
Yeah.
It's a bold take. And in a world of endless sequels and reboots, maybe that's what we need.
Right. A little shakeup. Now, this next part gets a little... Well, let's just say they don't hold back on their feelings about some of the people at Ubisoft. They call for some pretty major staff shakeups.
Oof. Yeah, that's always tricky. We're not privy to the inner workings of Ubisoft, so it's impossible to comment on the validity of those claims.
Right. And to be fair, it's easy to criticize from the outside. But this fan seems convinced that there are people in positions of power who are stifling creativity, preventing Ubisoft from reaching its full potential. They point to some of the recent releases as evidence of this kind of stagnation.
Whether that's the case or not, who knows? But it is interesting to consider how much influence individuals can have on a company's creative output,
Yeah.
especially in an industry like gaming, where passion and vision are so crucial.
And their last point is the most, I don't even know what to make of it. They start ranting about EU diversity funds and some shady corporation called Sweet Baby Inc. It's like they're suggesting there's some conspiracy going on, but it's really vague.
Yeah, and without more context, it's hard to parse exactly what they're getting at.
Right. Like, are they talking about actual funding for diverse game development, or is this something else entirely?
It's possible they're referring to initiatives designed to promote diversity and inclusion within the gaming industry, which, on the surface, seem like positive things, but I'm just speculating here.
Right. I'm all for promoting diversity, but it's like, if this is what they're talking about, is it actually helping? Or is it like creating more problems than it solves? We need more information.
Exactly. It's like we need more context to really unpack that statement. Without it, it's just dot noise.
Okay, so if Ubisoft is listening, and let's be real, someone over there is definitely listening, what's the one piece of advice you would give them? If you could only say one thing.
I think Ubisoft needs to remember what made them great in the first place.
Yeah.
Taking risks. They weren't afraid to experiment, to try new things, to push
I
boundaries.
like that. Get back to that innovative spirit.
Exactly. And that's what made them so exciting. They were the ones pushing the envelope. That's what they need to recapture.
It really makes you think. For anyone listening, what do you think Ubisoft should do to get back on track? What are your favorite Ubisoft games and why? Let's keep this conversation going. This is one for the forums for sure. Until next time, happy gaming.